Welcome back, YouTube. So hopefully we'll be doing this. I'm aiming at like a week, every 2 weeks is what I'm gonna try to aim to be back and posting YouTube content. Recently just came back from my trip to Oregon. I went to Bash to the Future. Good and bad news. Good news was car ran great for majority of the weekend. Bad news is lost compression in cylinder 6. So now the game plan of what's gonna go on. I have an S52, which is back over there. We'll go look at that here shortly. But I have to rebuild it. That motor was actually in my E30 that I had swapped years ago. Car had caught on fire, but I saved the motor out of it. But it's been sitting for 5 years, but I did empty out all the water, everything from it. And then I did put a bunch of oil into the motor to save it, which it is pretty safe for the most part. I'll show you right now. So right now, this is currently where my S52 is sitting. Just a long block right now, and stuff is torn apart. I don't know how well you guys can get in here and see. Okay, so you guys may not be able to see it very well just because of lighting. But from water sitting in here with the valves open, even though I did go ahead and pour oil in here, there was a little bit of water that rusted inside the cylinder wall. So I'm gonna tear this down, and I am going to send that out to the machine shop so they can do a full inspection, a hone, and all that good stuff on it. Probably just gonna go ahead and get this motor back together and throw that inside the drift car for now. So the plan pretty much is to go boost, and what we're gonna end up doing is taking this motor out, and I can get a good deal on some pistons and some connecting rods. So once I'm able to purchase those, I will be sending this block out to the machine shop. That way they can do the hone and the ring gap and everything for me with the new pistons. Fortunately, my intake is like not super like protected here. As you can see, it's like here. And it ended up sucking up water, and then it went into cylinder 6. While I was on track, car was ripping. Had no idea that water had even gotten like pulled in. And then as I was pretty much mid corner, car started misfiring like crazy. And then as I was exiting the track, it shut off. Pretty much, I was like stuck trying to get it to start because cars were coming off track behind me. And luckily it did start, but it seemed like it was starting to like hydro lock a little bit from all the water being in there. So anyways, I was able to get it started and move out of the way back to like my pit area. And then the guys I was pitting with, like good friends of mine, I was like, yo, this thing's misfiring. We got to tear into it, see what's going on. First we thought maybe plugs, you could foul plug, nothing too crazy. Plugs looked okay. We pulled them out, everything seemed fine. Changed an injector, changed the coil pack, still had the same issues. So then it was kind of one of those things of we know something more has happened. And then that's when we did a deeper dive and opened up the intake. And that's when we started having like a ton of water just poured out of there. But honestly, I think it's time to go boost. Also, caging this thing is going to be on the list for this year too. The turbo build is going to be a little slow. Like I said, trying to build the S52, get that just thrown back in here so I'm kind of the same power, hopefully a little bit more. Because this is an M52 with S52 cams. I have a bigger Dynon throttle body that's on this. And then all the crankcase ventilation, all of that stuff is deleted off this car. Literally anything that isn't needed is deleted. As we start tearing into this, you guys will see that there isn't all the junk and crap underneath the manifold. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it is M50 manifold too, so that does help out a little bit. And then it does have a tune. I bought this motor set up from one of my buddies before, like years ago. This motor actually is like 7 years old since the rebuild, but I mean, it's lived a good life at pretty much redline. I mean, it has been about 4 or 5 years since I've actually drifted on a track, and this car felt like a completely different car from what I remember. There's 2 major things so far that got updated recently before I decided to go up to Oregon and drive. One of those being, I ended up getting a set of field coilovers. They are Rome spec, and I do have the true coilover rears on this. So I got a SLR Ultra kit, which fantastic. It is so worth the money. I've talked to a handful of friends that said it's the best bang for your buck right now, and way better than having E46 control arms with like rack spacers. And then also I was able to pick up a E46 M3 steering rack, which that helped out a lot too with just responsiveness. It was running really great, and then one day I was trying to get fired back up and it wouldn't start. And that's not characteristic of this car. It's literally always started. I've had zero issues with this thing. But what it ended up being was I started getting into the fuel tank because I could smell fuel, but I opened up the fuel lines up in the front here and there was no fuel coming out. So obviously I went back to the tank and the hanger, which I think I have the hanger over here. Let's see. So, if the camera will focus, this is the hanger. You can see how gross and disgusting this thing is. Even the connectors, like all of this is just like really bad and rusted. So, that's the big thing. Now, luckily, that's just rusted. Inside the tank isn't rusted at all. There's like a little bit of contaminant. Worst case, I'm gonna have to drop the tank, but if I'm lucky, I won't have to. I'll just drain out the rest of the fuel, which I think there's only like a gallon or two in there. So I'll have to drain that out, the rest of it out, and then see if I can get a vacuum and just get all the like debris out. Once we get further into that project, I'll show you guys that it's not terrible, so we can go ahead and do that. But that's all this needs. It just needs a new fuel pump hanger and a fuel pump, which I already have the fuel pump here. I just have to order the fuel pump hanger, reinstall it back into the car, and then this thing should fire up. And then we have to swap to the stock exhaust. And I think I have Mustang 5.0 injectors in here. So we'll have to take those back out and then put the stock chip back into the ECU. So that's kind of the small update on this, but we're trying to make this roadworthy again so I can daily drive it. And if you guys have been following for a while, you guys do know I have this. This is a 57 Chevy Delivery. It does have a small block 350. She runs and drives right now. She just needs a little work suspension wise, so maybe we can start getting into that. Who knows? We will see. All right, now for the bad news. Probably like 7 months ago, I'll see if I can post like a little picture or something of what my brother's car used to look like so you guys can get an idea of what happened. This unfortunately, sorry, the lighting's kind of bad, guys. Let's see if I can move. This is unfortunately what the car looks like now. And as you can tell, this should not be like that. So he was in an accident literally down the street here. And in that accident, someone ran a red light and pretty much T-boned him. Now, the girl that hit him stated she was doing 25 miles an hour. Now, anybody that knows would know that this damage here is not 25 miles an hour. Like, let me see. We had to like literally take a shovel and an axe and a pick to try to get the door open. That's how bad it was. So you guys can see an overview of everything. But yeah, this thing is literally demolished. Ended up breaking this coilover, bending his wheel, but I think we can still get that wheel fixed. So we actually sent that out to see if it can be fixed. But yeah, this thing literally got pushed in like 1.5 feet. Like it took out all of this, cracked windshield, everything. And look at the dash. Like just completely crazy. We're so lucky he didn't have anybody in the car at the time, because this is like, you can see how far this got pushed in. So most of the stuff that's on this car, we're just gonna take off and then swap over to that car. His new car is an automatic, so we are gonna take the manual transmission, the pedals, drive shaft, pretty much anything we can salvage out of this. And then this is gonna be a spare motor. From the damage so far, it looks really bad here. Our only concern is like the ECU sits in this box right here, and so we literally got to pull this fender off, rip it off, cut it off, whatever we got to do, and get into this area and see how bad the ECU is torn up or if it's still in good shape, and then maybe throw it in my car and see if we can get it to fire up. But motor should still be good. Don't see any issues so far with it being crunched as much as it did. And just so you guys are aware, my brother was completely safe in this accident. Very minor injuries. I think he just hurt his thumb, and that was from him holding the steering wheel when she like on impact. Other than that, he's perfectly okay. I mean, he was in a Sparco seat too, which I think definitely helped out a lot with him not getting injured. He didn't have harnesses or anything, but I think just the bucket seat being seated in it didn't make him like get thrown across the car or hit something else and get more hurt. Guys, cars can be replaced. It sucks. I've had to deal with a car fire. He's had to deal with a car accident. Like, things happen and they suck. But at the end of the day, most cars, or I should say all cars, are definitely replaceable. This one's a little bit hard to replace, but at the same time, like, much rather someone to be safe than be injured, like losing a car rather than somebody's life. So I'm also gonna try to work on another like smaller edit. If you guys haven't seen or don't follow me on Instagram, I'll post that below too, so that way you guys can take a look. But my buddy made a video for us made a video for me, for you guys, kind of like a 90s vintage like shot. Super sick. I will link his YouTube below too, so that way you guys can check it out on YouTube and don't have to just look at it on Instagram. That's pretty much it. Just wanted to give you guys a little quick update of what's going on. I know it's been a handful of years since I've you know, made videos and posted stuff, but definitely want to get back into it. I got a lot of projects going on, so I figure let's record it, let's put it on YouTube, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned. More videos will be coming shortly. Later.
Just writing lines cause I feel like a champ. Heavyweight first place, who could expect to get slapped? I'm running laps round the competition, thinking no last. I just laugh, take a step as I go and sit back. Got the almond in my coffee, mixed with toffee is packed. Well, I stack